Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Quest Army Hangout, the sixth one. And we are joined today by Jasmine as our special guest.
Hi.
Apologies for starting a few minutes late. Google Hangouts decided to be difficult with us today, and that happens, but now we are all here and we're all together, so we will get everything going. And the participants today we have Rachel Steiner.
Hello, everyone.
We have Lauren.
Hi.
We have Josh.
Hey, how's it going?
We have David.
Hi, Jasmine. How are you?
Hey, David.
And we have Charity.
Hi, I'll be on mute a lot, as you can tell. But it's
Okay.
nice to see you, Jasmine.
And then just to start out the discussion today with the Hangout, Jasmine, one of the questions, first of all, thank you for being willing to do this, despite technical issues.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. Oh my God, Google having issues?
Yeah, I know. It
my
never
God.
happens, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, thank you for taking time out of your day to do this. Really, we do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
The question, I'm going to actually ask the first question before I go down the line, but one of the questions I've been wanting to know is because you were one of the few paladins that actually does have kids and has a more established life that, you know, involves a full family outside of Everealm. And what I was kind of curious about is how did you prepare yourself for going into this experience, and how did you kind of steel yourself and kind of mentally get ready to go do this?
Oh, lots of fretting. Lots of mommy fretting, yeah. I have a great support system. Really, I have to give it to my husband
Mm-hmm.
and my mother-in-law, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to go on the show at all. My husband just kind of took the reins, and he's like, "You're never gonna have this opportunity again. You know, you need to take it. You know, my son's old enough. He had just turned 4 at the time. You know, so that was really hard. You know, he's like barely out of diapers for me." And I'm lucky enough that my mother-in-law only works weekends, so she helped out a lot as well. And you know, just getting extra daycare time and just kind of explaining to my son as best we could. You know, mommy's going for work and she's gonna be gone. And the great thing, I think, because he was old enough to kind of understand, but still young enough not to really have that full concept of time,
Mm-hmm.
that he didn't. I don't think he realized how long I was gone for. It wasn't like he was counting the days, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that was the hardest part by far, was every day just thinking about my son. Is he gonna hate me? Gonna be like, "Mommy, I hate you." You know, I don't know. That was I don't know how I did it, honestly. But again, I knew that I was never gonna have that opportunity again,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just sucked it up and knew my son was in good hands, and I didn't have much to worry about. You know, I had to kind of relinquish that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it has to be nice for you too to be able to show him, look at how awesome mommy was. You know.
He's only 5 now. He just turned 5 in July, so he's like, "Oh look, mommy's on TV." He doesn't really care, to be honest.
He doesn't care, yeah. Exactly.
It's no different than him watching a video of me or seeing a picture of me. It's no different to him at all. He doesn't get it yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, which is good. That's fine. That's fine. Later, I'll have something to show him. I'll be like, "See, you have the cool mom."
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Okay, Rachel, I know that you have a question that you're asking on behalf of somebody else.
I am, since Chelsea couldn't make it, she actually gave me a question to ask you, Jasmine. She was actually wondering what emotions, how did you feel when you had initially gotten banished and then you came back for the finale, and what was kind of going through your head? How excited were you, especially since it seems like you're all kind of like family?
if you can believe, and Leticia can vouch for me for this, because she was way more emotional than I was when I was banished. I felt like I did my very best, and I was completely at peace. I don't know if that comes across, but I just had the sense of peace. There was nothing I could do. It was what it was, and I did my best. I was proud of myself. But, you know, once you're in banishment land, your brain kind of wanders, and, you know, you don't have all these activities that you're doing running through fields and riding horses to keep you occupied. All you have are your thoughts. And so that was actually harder because, again, my mind started to become reoccupied with, oh, my son, I can't talk to him. Does he hate me? Is he upset? Is he okay? You know, was this worth it? You know, it's funny how quickly you could switch from being happy to being, you know, paranoid. So when they told us we were coming back, it kind of validated everything that I had done. Even the feelings of not having gotten to show more of myself and having the chance that I thought I could have shown more of my heroic self and really conquered the challenges. Any doubt that I did have lingering. So it was, I think that was the best part of being in Everealm, was coming back. It was just the best day, the best feeling, everything. It was amazing. It was my favorite part.
Kind of like you never know what you've had until it's taken away from you and you miss it.
Kind of, yeah. You know, you start thinking about your sword. I want my sword back. You know, I miss my roommate, you know. And it was a different experience and a different pleasure when we were banished, but it wasn't the same. But when you come back, you kind of know what's going to happen a little bit more, and you're treated a little bit differently. You know what I mean? Like, you're not a competitor anymore. You're a paladin. You've accomplished what you're going to accomplish, and now everybody has an equal footing, and everybody gets to come back and make a name for themselves, and everybody gets to show off what they learned together. It's not a competition anymore. So it's refreshing to not have that anymore. I think that's what made it better. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and then Lauren, I am going to go on and let you ask something.
Okay. Well, we've kind of covered the end of your paladinhood, so I'm going to go back and rewind to the very beginning, well, almost the very beginning, but your wonderful moment in the sun where you totally owned that Tournament for the Queen challenge, and Sir Ansgar smiled.
Ah, yes.
I was just wondering if you could tell us how you felt going through that challenge, and then in the end when he was approving.
I guess I'll go back to the beginning, even further than that. I have been obsessed with horses almost my whole life. I have not ridden very much because, as anybody who knows who's ridden horses, it's quite expensive. And it was hard for me, you know, to really get really into riding and get past a certain area. So a lot of my time was spent, like, volunteering my time as stable hand. So I had a lot of experience working in stables to get that, you know, like half an hour a week to ride. You know, but I have wanted to be a knight for a long time. Like, back in my Star Woars days, you know, like, I started with the Jedi. I wanted to be a Jedi Knight. And then I was like, oh, you could be a real knight when I started working for Renaissance fairs and meeting, like, you know, actual knights, like making friends with jousting people. And I was actually incredibly nervous. It shows me going first, I think, or second in the show. I actually went second to last during the competition. I think they spliced it in a certain way for it to make more sense, because there was a lot of, like, wait time in between. But I was kind of in a zone, and I don't think I realized how well I did until I got down off the horse. And as you can see in the episode, I'm, like, out of breath because I literally had just slid off the horse after, you know, riding through that whole, you know, thing and that heavy land, so I'm so tiny and the thing is so huge. And it was like 120 degrees that day. It was like the hottest day on record in Austrian history. And as soon as I get off, I didn't have a moment to breathe. And then here comes Peter with this smart-ass question. Where did you learn all these things? And you can kind of catch a moment where the light bulb clicks in my head, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to say this. And it just came. I don't know how it came out of me, but it was worth it, because that was the first smile we had him crack. And it was just, I felt like $1 million. I was like, I won the lottery, that's it, I got this. I don't care if I win, I won. I made Ansgar laugh.
Perfect.
He was like, this girl, I can't. It was good. As an actress, it was good. I almost cracked him, so it was nice.
Nice.
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah, thank you for answering that, because I know Joff and I have talked about that too, and just like that is, you know, that smile, and then that answer was perfect for that moment.
It was true. It was true. I believe that. That is, like, my motto. You know, like everything that I've ever needed to know is from my imagination, and the geeks know that. Mundanes don't really realize it. We know it. We've only had our imaginations for a long time, so keep us company.
Exactly. Okay, Josh, do you have a question for her?
My brother
Hey,
from
Jasmine.
another mother, what's up?
Hey, what's up, girl? Let's see. Are there any challenges that you didn't get to try that you think you would have absolutely rocked? And a follow-up question would be, are there any challenges that you think you would have absolutely sucked at?
They might be the same challenge, actually. Let's see. Challenges that I think I would have rocked. I definitely think I could have kicked some major butt on the Hawk challenge for the orbs. I'm not a runner. You know, Bonnie's response to running is exactly my sentiments to running. No, you know, like, but I'm really observant, and I used to drive the other paladins crazy with my observations, to the point where the producers later, after I got banished, they were like, listen, we couldn't tell you before, but we were like freaking out because we thought you were going to start like saying the plot that hadn't happened yet in your interviews because you were guessing everything that was going to happen, and I kept going, I wonder if what this is going to happen, and they were like, Jasmine, they're not even talking about that right now, and then it would happen. So I think that I would have definitely kicked some major butt on that because, like, watching it, I was like, I wouldn't have naturally, instinctually, like how Andrew said, you know, his instinct was to rush. Mine's the opposite. My instinct would have been to look everywhere that nobody else would have looked. And so I think that might have given me one up, and it just is kind of cool. I just think it's like a cool, you know, we weren't allowed in those areas in the castle, so it would have just been nice to just get out there. Challenge that I think I would have sucked at, I absolutely know I would have sucked at. I don't know if I would have sucked at the cage challenge. I probably would have sucked at it. But that's not the one I'm most worried about. The one I am actually, thank you to the fates that I didn't have to do, was the observation challenge, where they had to guess how many soldiers were there and who had swords, and I would have been like, how many arrows? Purple? Platypus? I don't know. I don't math well. I have a undiagnosed dyscalculia, so me and numbers don't go. That would have been, I was watching it like, oh, you poor things, that's awful. No.
Awesome.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. And then, David, do you have a question for her? Oh, can't hear you right now, David. Hang on a second. I think you might have.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay,
Yep.
good. So what did you get to do while you were in banishment? Did you get to go around and do any touristy type things, or did they keep you mostly on the grounds of the castle?
Let me see how I can answer this without getting in trouble. I'm sorry, say that last part again?
And did you get any behind-the-scenes pictures?
Okay, I can answer the behind-the-scenes pictures one first without thinking. Yes, I did. I don't know if you've seen Jim posting a lot of, like, behind-the-scenes pictures. Most of those were done on the final day, which was the day that we filmed the raid of the castle, when Lena became the one true hero, and that was our day that we got to finally meet face-to-face the actors outside of character. So that's when I got to shake Peter's hand and, hey, yeah, I am Peter, I am Jasmine, you know, or, you know, meet the fates outside of character. That was at the end of that day was when we got to do that. So that was kind of really surreal, because the whole time we only had seen them as who they were. You know, we didn't see them at all outside of their character. But going back to the original, let's just say that Limbo, Fate Everealm Limbo, looks a lot like Austria. and you know, the nether realm of the Fates banishment land is very akin to going to Vienna and having dinner and you know, shopping, lots of shopping. So
Remind me to get banished.
huh?
Note to self: get banished by the fates,
Well,
so that I can go around and have an experience seemingly like Vienna, Austria.
so here's an inside joke about that. We knew we were on a TV show, and yes, while we were doing things. They made it as close to being in real Everealm as they possibly could. You know, from where we slept to what we wore to what we ate. But there's logistical things that you can't get rid of. Like, of course, we see the cameramen. And there's a boom mic like right here. Like you can't get rid of that. So there are things that were real life. Like if we got injured, we did get Band-Aids. Things like that. We were allowed to bring our own medications. They're not going to let us be without our medications and things like that. But when it comes to that, I kind of lost what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Mommy brain. I'm sorry. I'm pregnant. I apologize.
Okay.
What was I saying? Oh my God.
About banishment and shopping in Everealm?
Oh, yes. So when one person, after like one or two people got banished, we, of course, were thinking about them all the time. We thought about Katie. We thought about Ashley. So we would ask our handlers. We did have handlers. And they were like our only connection to the outside world. Do they get to do anything while they're banished? Do they, are they getting to go anywhere? Because it's in our mind. We're thinking one of us is going to be banished the next day. And so you wonder. It could be you. We were told that they didn't get to do anything. That they just sat in the rooms, they were sequestered, it was miserable, they were bored. That was an utter lie. I think they told it to us so we didn't feel motivated to get banished, which wasn't a problem anyway, because who the heck wants to leave the castle? Nobody did. But it was kind of cruel, because then when I got banished, after the shock of getting banished and the adrenaline from the day wore off and I headed to where I was supposed to go, I'm thinking, now I'm going to have to sit and have nothing to do. I was like mourning this loss. No Leticia to talk to in the middle of the night. No swords to train with. That was a lie. It was a lie. As soon as we came there, like, that's a lie. We lied to you. Sorry, guys. Go wherever you want. Enjoy. It wasn't, not wherever you want, but that was the truth of it. Yeah, we did get to go places. We did, but we did also train. We did also train as well.
That's cool. Yeah, you guys, at the end, you guys really put up a good fight, and sometimes it looked like there was actual contact and maybe pain involved on the hit ease end, not your end. You look like you smacked some of those guys pretty hard.
Well, if you could be physically next to them, while they're in the scene before Battle Dome, which is the episode that I get banished in, when they go at it, I work at a Renaissance fair, and I have done an event for like a tournament of like the thing that the guys who do the reenactments, like the ones who trained us, they do these competitions. And I think some of the people, one of the gentlemen in the Quest Army is a part of that. He's a knight, and he does that. They were going at it way harder than any of us could even. Maybe Patrick could come close. But it was a shock to me. Like, just being in that close proximity, you could see, like, Adria and us all stepping back, like, whoa. Yeah. It was like somebody slammed into us. I didn't know it was going to be like that. I didn't know that they actually hit that hard. They go at it. They really, really do. But there were some injuries. There were some injuries. We like begged for them not to make us wear those helmets. Those ill-fitting, heavy helmets that did nothing but like put a crick in your neck. And so they let us. They finally agreed. Okay, in the final battle, I'm thinking my hair looks real good today. I don't want to put a helmet on. This is my final chance to be like look heroic. And one of the first things that happened to me, one of the knights, I think it was Martin, who I was fighting with on the bridge, popped me right in the head. Bah, like that, with the sword, and I actually bled. I was like, no, I'm fine, it's good. No. Because I didn't want them to make us put the helmets on. Yeah. And that was just one of the minor injuries. People got popped in the hands, all kinds of things. People fell, so, but it was worth it.
Oh, Beth, that's
a little bit intimidating. I mean, I'll be honest, to realize that you're going up against that.
But you have to think, it may seem scary, but by the time you get to that point, you're so excited and into it. We had been training with those guys. They were the ones that trained us. And so even after just a couple times of training with them, you really kind of start to trust them. You know, one of the gentlemen, Christoph, I can't pronounce his last name. Don't even make me try. I apologize. He's such a cool guy. He and I were training, and he popped me in the hand one time, pretty hard. And then he was wearing his gloves, and I popped him in the hand really hard. I didn't mean to. It just happened to happen. And so I said, well, now we're even. But I felt really bad about it. I was like, I'm so sorry. He goes, no, that just makes us blood brothers. And that was so awesome. And he meant it. He really meant that. So that was cool. They're amazing guys.
That is, yeah, that's a total badge of honor for you to hear that from him.
Yeah.
And training with him. You're like, yes, I made it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Charity, you can just shake your head yes or no. Do you want to ask Jasmine a question, or are you just a little bit too... Oh, you do?
Well, I'm a little preoccupied, but I do have a question. Actually, if you hear any kids, I'm sorry. But my question is, everybody knows that what makes the quest so unique is the fact that it's a storyline. It's a reality show with a storyline. Wow. How hard or were you able to stay in character in between takes? Because I know they didn't do it all in one long run. So were you able to either stay in character, get back in character? I mean, was it hard? Was it easy? How did that work?
Like I said, in the beginning, it's kind of, it feels awkward because they're emphasizing you to be you, but at the same time, you're on camera. You know what I mean? So to find the balance was really just to get into the mentality of being me at an 11. And it was hard. I think it was harder for some of us to tone it down a little bit. Like Chris acts, Ashley's an actress. Bonnie is a voiceover actress. So it was kind of hard for us to not, people who especially work at Renaissance fairs like me, who's a character all day, to not become a character. I had to just be Jasmine. So that was harder than getting into character and out of character. You just had to be yourself reacting to that situation. So no, it wasn't really hard to get in and out of character. Sometimes it was hard in the very beginning, at least, to always really buy into the whole "I'm an Everealm" thing, because there's moments where they pause and then they're doing some production thing. You're not looking at it, but you can hear stuff going on, and there's cameras and lights, and it's very unnatural. But I think it surprised me, maybe because I act, but I'm open theater or whatever, outdoor theater, not like a stage or screen. How quickly you get used to that. Very quickly. You forget the camera's there. There's scenes where we're going through the woods, and when you see us, walking, hiking, running, they really made us do that stuff, okay, people? They really made us do that, and it sucked. And, there's parts where we're going through this, from the castle to the open field where they did, like, the scorpions and other things, was a long distance. We're going through the forest again for the millionth time, and a cameraman would fall down or something. And for a second, you're like, what the heck? We're all like, oh, get the swords, keep your pieces, and like, wait a minute, it's just a cameraman. It's harder to get out of that world than it is to get back in. So, for a second, you're like, wait a minute, oh, that's right, it's a cameraman. Oh, he's a human being. Is he all right? Should we react? Should we ask him if he's okay? Should we ignore him? That becomes strange, like how you have to, like, really start to ignore people and things around you.
That makes complete sense. And I'm going to actually take the chance. I know we got some questions that came in from like Twitter and Facebook, and Jack Sat actually wants to know, before you were on the quest, what were you expecting the experience was going to be like?
Oh, let me think. What's a good way to answer that? I like to be prepared. So, never been a Girl Scout, but I like to be prepared. So I really spent a lot of time just imagining all the scenarios that possibly they could throw at me. I actually don't really like reality TV, so I really have never really watched a lot of reality TV, so I had to do a little bit of quick research, like watch a couple episodes of The Amazing Race and do some research online to kind of think, what is it that they're going to torture me with? How bad and how great could it possibly be? So I really kind of had every expectation. And some of them were surpassed, and some of them were not met, but that is actually not necessarily a bad thing. That's a good thing, I was wondering, maybe they were just going to completely cut us off from civilization. Are we not going to get showers? Like, that was a concern because, this, So I went in with every expectation that I could possibly conjure in my mind. What are they going to do to us? And so that way, whatever they did throw at us would not be that much of a surprise. And I think it worked. I think it helped me a lot.
And then he actually had another one, which was about the boot camp, which you did talk about a little bit, but he was wondering what was the actual training that you guys did for the finale. I mean, like, how intense was that training that they had you guys going through?
When the majority of my training was done still while I was in the castle, while I was still in the competition, and that was pretty intense because you were still a paladin, you were in Everealm, and Clint Lilly, who was our stunt coordinator, amazing guy, we didn't know who he was. He was a character. We gave him a nickname because he wouldn't tell us who he was. We called him Fritz. So, Fritz, and we're like, oh God, here comes Fritz with the swords. Here they come. They made us do like some Shaolin type training. Like we had to take those buckets that you saw, like when we were like cleaning up the courtyard and people were like picking up buckets. They made us like fill those buckets with rocks and run from like the courtyard down to the down to the gate and back up and then do the ropes and then like sword train and then do this many push-ups. We did some like circuit training and it was not fun at all. But when I was banished, they did bring us back, and you see it in some of the promotions. You'll see some scenes of me and Katie fighting in a field. And if you think about it, it really doesn't fit in with anything. It's just us fighting in a field with the castle in the background. That was us training. That was after I was banished. We didn't know why we were training. And so sometimes you're kind of like, why am I still... I mean, I'm happy to get the swordplay experience. Why you don't know why they're doing this, and it didn't occur to me that they would bring us back. Like, you kind of hoped you would, but you really didn't believe at that point that they would do that. So they didn't tell us why we were. And I'm glad that they did train us, because I feel like I would have looked like an idiot if I didn't have all that extra training.
Exactly. No, and I guess I hadn't realized that either, because I hadn't actually heard anybody say, no, they didn't tell us you're going to be coming back, that they kind of kept that little secret aside too. That is cool.
It was cool.
Cool.
It was cool, yeah.
Yeah, I like that when they do that. But one of the other questions I have for you too is, was there something that they filmed or some kind of experience that you actually had inside of Everealm that you haven't seen on the series, and you're like, I wish they had really shown everybody that, that instance or that thing?
That's a great question. There were quite a few scenes actually that didn't make it. There was a lot of stuff that happened. Of course, a lot of the scenes went on a lot longer than you see, because they only have so much time to fit all this awesome that's happening. Ones that come to mind, for example, are from the very beginning. We're walking, we were each supposed to have introductions. They filmed all this stuff at our house, in our communities, and it was just so much footage where we talked about ourselves. You got to see the things that I was into, what made me me, and unfortunately ABC decided to cut that out, and so you really didn't see anything about us in our home setting before we went on this journey to Everealm. So that was one thing that I was highly disappointed in, because a lot of people were like, well, this is a geek show, or they're trying to make it a geek show, and none of these people are geeks. And I'm thinking, all of us are geeks. What are you talking about? I have a Star Wars tattoo. Really? Back up. So that was difficult. I was like, I'm a geek, I swear. I can nerd. So that was one thing. Getting right into Everealm, when we're walking through the forest, we were there all night until the sun rose. And so, we're walking in a line at one point right before the ogre attacks us the first time. And it's all of the paladins, and then, Creo's in the front, and it's me, Jim, and then Sebastian. And so we hear sound, and I look, and I'm like, what is that? And Jim, being the gentleman that he always is, goes, don't worry, I got your back. And Sebastian's got my back, right, Sebastian? And me, being the smart aleck that I am, without missing a beat, came out of my mouth, yeah, well, who has Sebastian's back? No lie, 10 minutes later, Sebastian gets taken by the ogre. That's why I had that face when he getting taken by the ogre. I'm like, are you actually kidding me right now? that didn't make it. That was disappointing. I was like, I predicted his death. I'm sorry, Sebastian. I never should have said anything. You know, there was a whole scene where the ogre came back for us, and we coated ourselves in mud because, Creel was going to tell us, ogres, they don't have good eyesight, but their sense of smell is really good, so if you coat yourself in mud, it'll coat the scent, and that's why we took our jackets off. And we were, like, hiding, and we found all this, like, clothes, and at one point there was a giant spoon that Chris found, like a giant wooden spoon, and he gave it a name. He called it Scoop. So we spent all night until the wee hours of the morning when the sun is rising in this forest in Everealm, and almost all of that got cut out, and that was really disappointing because a lot of our big early bonding moments happened in that forest, and like the vizier when the queen was poisoned, when we're all around the table and we're looking through the scrolls and we're trying to like get organized, and the vizier shows up. I actually confronted the vizier to his face, and I was like, he was like, are you ashamed of yourselves to admit that he was accusing us? And I said, would it matter if we did or didn't? You don't believe us anyway. Do you want the queen to be, help? That's what we're here for. It benefits us if the queen is on our side and alive. So help us or get out of our face. And then that's when, like, Andrew and Chris and them were like, oh, I'll have my back and stuff. But I was like, y'all cut out my one moment where I told, Swishy Face, back up. So there was so many moments like that you didn't get to see. We were in that pig pen in the beginning for like hours and hours, forever. And so there was a lot of conversation that happened that you didn't get to see there too. So a lot of that kind of stuff. But the one that I'm the most disappointed, actually it's two times. The first night in the common room, and then right before Jim got banished, we had two moments where the first night, I, with the help of Adria and Bonnie, taught the rest of the paladins how to sing Wild Rover. If anybody's a Bendy, they'll know Wild Rover. To this day, we call ourselves the 12 Wild Rovers because of that. And then we all kind of sat around, and whoever had singing talent sung. If anybody had a story, they told their story. And it was this fantastic bonding moment where we just got to know each other the first night. Everybody was there. Nobody was banished. We weren't thinking about banishment. We were just so excited to be in a castle, so excited to be there. And we sang, and we were like, it was amazing. It was like being in a Hogwarts common room with your housemates, And later, right before Jim got banished again, we sat around and we sang Help to the Company. And it was an amazing moment, and I just was really disappointed that at least one of those moments didn't make it, because people could really see, yes, there were people who maybe didn't like each other so much or who did things that were questionable, but at the same time, we really did like each other. We really did want to be there with each other.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things that we've wondered, because we heard from the EPs, too, that they had originally wanted the premiere to be 2 hours long, and then they were told that they could only have an hour. And it's like, I cannot imagine how frustrating that would be to be filming with the expectation that you're going to be able to make a 2-hour piece, and then to be told to half it. That had to have been horrible for them. And so it's cool to hear some of the stories or the insights behind, some of those moments that didn't make it on the
I think the most disappointing part about that for all of us, meaning the Paladins, of course the executive producers have way much more to be disappointed about. It's their brainchild, is that not every Paladin got a fair shot at being known. You didn't know anything about Ashley. You didn't know anything about Katie. There was so much to be said about these people and their story and why they were there, and this connection that you guys would have with us as nerds and geeks, and it was our moment. It was our time to shine, to show, a 32-year-old mom of one who's a stay-at-home mom can have a Star Wars tattoo and work at a Renaissance fair, or an Arkansas college student can play Quidditch, or a tough, rough and tumble little bartender from Chicago could be a gamer, wears a 12-sided die around her neck, those were the moments that we deserved, and they didn't get that, and I was really disappointed by that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then with the participants, do any of you guys have questions before I redirect it onto another topic? Because I got one more question that's specifically tied to the show before I'd like to talk about Project Hero. But anybody else have a question?
I do.
Okay.
This is more about like the technicality of like TV and filming. Since you said you don't have as much experience with film and things like that, what do you find was the greatest misconception that you had about working on a project like this?
Let's see. It's kind of a trick. It's kind of a not a trick question, but it's kind of a tricky answer because there really haven't been any things like this. It's such a weird combination, and I couldn't have known that until after. You know, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is a lot of people think that you're thrown into this show and you do all these things and you're always on and you're always in motion, and they don't realize that there's a lot of downtime where you're riding in a van and you're blindfolded and you're not allowed to talk. And I'm talking 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours where you're not allowed to talk. When you're sequestered, that is the hardest thing, because I could see that those other people are the other paladins, because at one point we were all in a room where we were filling out final paperwork and we were kind of given the rundown of what to expect over the next few days. We weren't allowed to talk to each other. So you really feel lonely. I think that's something people don't realize. The sheer amount of loneliness that you can feel when you are isolated like that, because you don't see that part. And the amount of waiting. There's so much waiting, and it's so frustrating. You know,
I can attest to that. No matter what project you work on in film, it's hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait, and that really doesn't ever come across. And maybe you think you know, but you just don't know until you get there. That sometimes setting up a camera takes an hour and a half, and all you're doing is standing there like this. And you can't go anywhere for contingency. You can't move. You can't talk. You're just standing there. So you have to be really, really, really patient. And that is something I never realized. Even in a show like this that made a big effort to make it like a fantasy world, and it really was. You can't avoid that. And it's just, I don't know. I think maybe that might make me second guess ever doing something like this again.
Thank you.
No problem.
And is there other questions from any of you guys again?
Give me 1 second before you.
Oh, okay.
Babe, can you bring me the charger, please?
And that happens sometimes too.
Sorry about that. The laptop is dying, and I'm like texting my husband to bring me the charger from a He's busy playing with the dog. So.
Okay, I do actually have another question, and it's actually from Joff, and we've had discussions about this, and what he wants to know is, did you embody your sun spear piece from the Kingdom of Arcus, and the one with the motto of by reason, not force?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that was one of the best moments was, as we did the challenges and people were awarded their pins for the challenges. That is how we found out what each piece was, because up until then we only had speculation as to what symbol on our sun sphere piece went with what kingdom, and we did a lot of guessing. And people are like, well, mine looks like this, and mine appears to be that, but nobody could figure mine out at all. So finally, it was after I was banished, and the final day. I was so curious I had to finally ask, and luckily somebody came to my rescue and said, this is what yours is. It's for the Kingdom of Arcus, and I don't think it could be any more perfect. Arcus is the smallest kingdom. They don't have an army. They do put people towards the force of Everealm, but they don't have a standing army. They only have a guard, I believe. And Arcus is known for its diplomacy, and I kind of got known as the mediator. I think, I think that I got known for being fair, because that's who I am. I like you and I like that person, but what's fair is fair, and that is my motto in life. If it's not fair, then it's not fair. That's it. That's all I can do. That's the best compliment I can give you, is to vote fairly for what I think is fair. And that's what Arcus is. When other kingdoms have an issue, they go to Arcus, and Arcus is like the Switzerland, I guess, of Everealm. And it's kind of me. I'm tiny, and I'm fair. I guess really, you can't. And the symbol is a dove flying over an anvil.
Mm-hmm.
How cool is that? You know, you got the peaceful dove, you got the anvil, or you have to like, you got to work hard to get what you want, you know. And so I like that. So I love my Arcus, and it's gonna go right here after this one comes out of me. So.
That is very, very cool. Now we know why. Perfect. And then talking about family too, was there some lessons that you felt like you brought home for your parenting style or just your life in general that you brought home from Everealm?
Yes and no. Like, there's a lot of great things that you learn about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that is what helped me out, is that I became a stronger me. And having to leave my son behind was actually the best thing for my parenting of my child, because up until that point I had been a stay-at-home mom, and I was the sole caregiver of my child. He never went to daycare, only recently up until right before I went to Everealm. And I was number one in his life, and so I was used to being in control of everything about him, everything that he needed, I was the one to give it to him. And so to having to let go of that at that time in his life was really important, because now he's in kindergarten, he's becoming independent, and I've learned to not be as clingy, I guess. And that's hard as a mom. I think some of us could understand, your child is everything to you. Everything. It is your life, your soul, your breath. You would give up all the things. You would burn yourself alive if you had to for your child. But sometimes that means letting go, and that's actually harder than giving your life for your child, And so I learned that it's going to be okay. Like, you do a good job raising your kids, let them go. They're going to be okay. And so that indirectly, I think, made me a better parent, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good lesson for everybody, and that's kind of the best way to handle anybody in your life, too, is respect people enough to have their own independence.
Yes.
And that they're in your life because they want to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good one.
And with that, I'm going to actually change directions, and before I have you ask us questions, I want to know, so what are you planning on doing for Project Hero?
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought about it for a little while. It's kind of hard for me to do all these grand gestures that I envisioned. It's funny because last year I had decided that since my son will be 5 during the holiday seasons this year, that I was going to make an effort to take a day during the holiday season to go volunteer our time to help others, like physically go do it and make that a tradition. But of course now I'm 8 months pregnant and I'll be 9 months during December, so that's not going to happen. So it's made me understand that there are little things that I have always done and that I need to continue to do and maybe make them a little bit more of a big gesture. And for me, one of those big ones has always been donation. Mm-hmm. Donation is such a powerful, powerful thing. And then not just money. Mm-hmm. People don't realize you don't have to donate a bunch of money to help out people. You can donate to people in your community things that you have in your home. That whole concept of reduce, reuse, recycle, that's really powerful. And so I've been lucky enough to have things given to me, handed down, that have really helped my life. And so I'm going to make a point, since I'm pregnant now, like I said, and I've been given a lot of things already. As you go and you register for this, this registry and that registry, you're given all kinds of things like giveaways and formula. People really need those things. And so I decided on that day I'm going to collect as many of those things as possible. My sister-in-law just had a baby too, so she's got a bunch. And I'm going to put together a package, and I'm going to take it to my local, there's a shop called 10,000 Villages. And they have where you can donate items that are needed, clothing and food, but formula and diapers and things like that are, you can never have enough of that for if you're in need. So I'm going to make sure that I go and I get some packs of diapers and some packs of wipes and things like that, and I'm going to put together a nice package. Maybe I sew, so maybe I'll put together, I make like bunting, baby bunting, and onesies and things like that. So, stuff like that. And I think if it just helps just one person, that's one person who didn't have, and that is what I can do, and that's what I'm going to do for somebody.
That's a very good idea, and I know not everybody has figured out what they're planning on doing. And people have heard Joff and I talk about a little bit about writing letters to encourage people. And one of the things that I know that I had a former coworker who tipped me off that there was some local women's shelters, and women at family shelters, and they needed a lot of those supplies. And so, like, as my own daughter got older in that, and we didn't need the supplies, or we realized we had a lot of packages of things that just never got opened, we dropped them off at a shelter, and then they were able to be used by people who just absolutely needed that and didn't have the ability to get it. And it's such, I mean, it's such a simple thing, and you don't necessarily realize it because you have it in your house, you know, right away, and you're like, okay, well, I can actually pass this along to somebody else who needs it. And the same too with a lot of the homeless shelters and the food banks. People don't realize how often they don't have fresh produce.
Yeah.
And you know, that's something that is always been something I've tried to do, is remind people, you know, if you can bring fresh fruit down there, that's worth so much more than the canned things, you know, that they normally see. Just because people appreciate it so much more, and it's so expensive.
It is. It can be very expensive, and like you said, it's just something that they can't get their hands on. You know, like, and there's such a huge difference between an apple and an applesauce. You know what I mean? Like, it's a huge nutritional difference that makes that one difference that one day for a child in their lunch to have that to eat. You know, and again, with the anybody who's a parent who has access or knows somebody who's had a baby recently and has all this formula, food banks, shelters, they need all of that stuff. They need diapers, they need wipes, they need formula. Anything that you can give them that is something that is a necessity every day, they can use it. And like I said, if you helped one person, that made the difference in the world for that one person. You know, and to imagine yourself going without those basic things that you have every day, how lucky we are to have them. It boggles your mind, but people are doing it. They don't have the stuff that they need. So.
Yeah, and then, I mean, does anybody who's participating, I know, like, David, you were doing your, you know, you were doing your Project Hero thing earlier today. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. I think that everybody should, you know, donate blood. I often run blood drives through my local lodge, but couldn't get it set up fast enough. So I went down, I don't know if you can see this, but got my... set my blood off to them. I do something called I think it's a red cell apheresis, which basically they take out the red cells, then give you back the plasma, and the blood is then immediately ready to go to people who are in dire need of it. A friend of mine had leukemia a while back. Unfortunately, he did not survive it, but he needed transfusions constantly. So having blood available, and everybody can give blood. It doesn't take very long, and you get cookies and good snacks afterward. You are helping out so many people, and they are so appreciative of it. It is just an amazing gift that does not take long. It's maybe an hour at the most.
And you can schedule. You can schedule your blood donations. You don't have to wait for it to come to you. Yeah.
Exactly. I went to the local blood center here. Normally, you can either have a drive and set it up. It takes about 2 months to actually schedule everything. But if you just go, you can find a blood center around your area, or American Red Cross. We have something called Blood Centers of the Pacific here in the Bay Area, and I think they're down toward LA area also. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I've been giving blood now for about 6-7 years, I think. And,
me
it's
too,
always
actually.
been a good thing.
And
well, I know,
if
yeah,
I can
they're
just
probably
say,
taking a lot of it from you now, being
and if I can just
a new
say,
mom.
oh, sorry, just
That's
one
okay.
quick thing, because there are some reasons why some people can't actually donate blood.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
that's
like
true.
Jasmine said, donate your time. You can, I'm sure they're always looking for people to check people into the blood drives, things like that, and various things like that. So if you can't donate blood for whatever reason, donate your time.
Yeah. And there are many times where you can't donate blood even if you are healthy. You know, sometimes your blood may be a little anemic. It just might be the day, the time of month, whatever. You know, sometimes it just doesn't happen. I usually try to, you know, force the deck in my my favor by like having steak or, you know, lots of protein the night before. So it helps.
Yeah, and
But yeah, I like it that way.
a lot of I don't know if a lot of people know this, but a lot of like your local stadiums, your sports stadiums. My husband has season tickets to the Philadelphia Union, the soccer team, and they
Oh,
do
wow.
blood donations annually. And I've gone, I think once or twice, and it's pretty great. They make it like a really cool like event that you can come. It's very comfortable, and they get you in and out really quick. And I've given almost 2 gallons at this point. Can't do it now,
Wow.
obviously. Well, I make a point. That's why I think, David, that's such a great thing that you've done. Like I always tell people, I'm Puerto Rican, but I'm also black, and we are in need more than almost anybody for blood. There's such a lack of people of color who give blood or who have that access to that blood. So I make sure to give doubly if I can. So I've been giving since high school. Unfortunately, not this year. It's gonna be a while since I can give. So, but thank you for doing that, David. That's amazing.
No
That's
problem.
such a great thing.
You're definitely excused right now for that, Jasmine.
I know.
Yes, I already had posted some. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Hello.
Hi. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I love you.
Actually, speaking about Project Hero, can I have a moment?
Yeah, you definitely can.
Okay. I've actually finally decided, I know I posted in the Project Hero, at least one of the events, that I'm just collecting all of my excess change. I've finally decided on there are 2 charities that I'm going to give people to donate to if use, but I wanted to share one of them. It's called the Hero Initiative. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of it or is familiar with it, but the reason why I donate to it is I have a friend who was a for-hire comic book artist in the comic book industry, and he was diagnosed with a very rare form of spinal cancer. He has sadly passed away. Thanksgiving is actually the anniversary of his death, but because of the Hero Initiative, which helps for hire artists who don't have health insurance with various medical costs or necessary costs of living, he actually lived a lot longer than the doctors were giving him, and because of that, we got a lot more time. So I constantly donate to them whenever I can. So I think that's where my money is going towards for Hero Day. So
Perfect.
I just
That's
wanted
amazing.
to put that out there because I think he was one of only 6 cases,
Wow.
and I can't remember if it was worldwide, but
Wow.
it was very, very, very rare,
That's
and
crazy.
they helped him.
That's sad, but that's great to hear about. I mean, we have to keep sharing with everybody, all these organizations, because there are so many organizations that just need so much help out there. And it's, we don't have to give a whole lot, just be able to give a little bit of help to somebody, and it might change their life. We don't know. And
Absolutely. Just get the word out. I mean, that's why I actually made this shirt last night out of the banner that we've been using, and then I put the hashtags on my back and have been walking around with this, and people, kind of see it and notice it. So they noticed it at the blood bank today. So I told them all about it.
Good. I mean, if we can get the discussion going more, anything we can do to help out, and anything we can do to help other people, and
Exactly.
a lot of times people get really intimidated and are like, I can't do. I can't, I don't have the ability to do this. If you can even just say hello or hold a door open for somebody, you might change their day. And it can be that simple.
Absolutely.
There's a lady, when I walk to work, I work directly across the street from AT&T Park, so I may not be around next Friday when the World Series comes and the Giants are going to win, so... but every morning I walk by, this lady is out in front of one of the buildings there, and she says good morning to everybody. And I have to say, every single morning she said good morning, and it makes my day. I could be in the worst mood, but she comes out and says good morning, and it's the best thing.
Agreed.
So just a simple good morning or a simple how are you
Or like
can make somebody's day.
like service people who serve us our food, for example. Like I've seen a lot, like a fast food place or a coffee place, or where you're in and out, and just taking a second and take a breath and say thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Oh, you're looking really nice today, or have a good day. And it surprises me how surprised they get that somebody took a second to make eye contact with them and acknowledge them as a person. Just doing that for somebody is a big deal. Like anyone, just to say hello to them. How are you? Do you need help? Anything you can do. That one moment could make somebody's whole day. Like you never know what kind of day they were having. They could have been having the worst day of their life and just been keeping it inside. And you could have been just made the difference between the worst day of their life and slightly better day for them,
As someone who's in a customer service oriented job, yes, it makes a huge difference.
Oh, I shall pat your head. I've done customer service, you poor dear. Oh no.
Okay. I'm actually in a not bad version of customer service. I'm a cashier at a college, so I take tuition payments and we help people with certain refunds and things like that. But it can be a very thankless job. But when people take the time to, exactly as you say, even just give me a compliment. Like I'm able to wear my Black Widow sweater that I'm wearing today at work, and people notice that and they compliment me. That makes my day. So
I'm going to stop it there and just kind of redirect it back to Jasmine, because we're coming up on the hour, and we do like to ask all of our guests if there's actually any questions you have for any of us or the Quest Army in general.
Oh, well, I think you guys do a great job of communicating, and my favorite part has been that we've become friends on Facebook and we're friends on Twitter and we stay in contact. So I guess the question that I ask is a quest-related question. Most people have said what they're going to be doing for the Project Hero, and there's some great ideas out there. So I guess what I want to ask is, what is everybody's favorite kingdom in Everealm? Or which one do you think that you relate to the most, or where would you like to see?
I can't recall how to pronounce mine.
If you can remember some details about it, I could probably remember.
Okay.
Go ahead. Who was that? Was that you, Rachel?
It was me.
Okay.
It's the kingdom that the vizier is from. I just don't know how to pronounce it properly.
Phase name.
It is phase name. Okay. Mostly because it's intelligence, and one thing Jim and I share in common is the Harry Potter fandom, and kind of I identify. I'm a Slytherin, but I also very heavily identify with Ravenclaw because I've always been very book smart, but also I try to be very intelligent about how I use those smarts. So that's kind of why I gravitate towards that.
Oh, we're getting some educational people here. I gotta put my glasses on. Hold up. I like that. That's a great answer. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people forget that. Like, they're so caught up on the fact that the vizier is he's evil. He's smart. He's the smartest person in Everealm. So that's really important. And yeah, I considered Ravenclaw, but I'm definitely a Hufflepuff. Honey Badger don't care.
I have some friends who are Hufflepuff, so you and Jim.
And Bonnie.
Yeah, exactly. Lauren, did you have a answer to that question or no? I wasn't sure if you're trying to say something.
I'm trying to look up Paladin Jasmine's Tinder so I can remember which one it was.
Oh, Sonare? It's Sonare, I believe.
Hang on, come back to me.
Yeah, we'll come back to you. Don't worry. We'll come back to you.
Lauren, I think his is Sonare.
No, I was looking for his Tumblr with the list of all of them.
Oh, yeah. Hey, find me on Tumblr if you have him on Tumblr, by the way, because I
have.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Anybody who uses the Tumblr, I tumble. So
you already follow me. So.
Well, I know I speak on behalf of both Joff and myself, but we also do relate with Phasney, and we were actually laughing when we first saw the symbol being owls and keys, because those are two symbols that they've featured more than I would care to admit in our lives from before we ever met each other and continued on, like through our relationship and that. And it is the intelligence element, but also the owls, the wisdom of, you know, sometimes it's sometimes I myself will say things very bluntly and forthright, and it's the reminder of sometimes you have to sit back and watch and just kind of wait and process it, you know, before you wind up speaking. And the owl is a perfect reminder. And so, I mean, that's definitely one of the kingdoms that we both relate to, just because of the wisdom element and trying to remind ourselves to try to be more wise more frequently.
Nice.
And then with the rest of you guys, if you know the answer for the kingdom, go ahead, raise your hand so that I can call on you, because sometimes it's not as easy with just the sound.
I got mine now.
Okay.
I think the one I relate to most is austere, because its heroic attribute is ingenuity. And I'm all about innovative solutions to problems and kind of just thinking slightly out of the box.
Oh, I like that.
I like that answer too. Josh or David, do you have an answer yet?
Well, I think mine would be not because I don't know if I associate with it very much, but I haven't looked up the answers yet on the Tumblr yet. But I think it's Kunach. I'm looking at my phone right now. Kunach. The reason why is when I first created the Facebook group, I thought, oh, what would be the kingdoms for the next seasons? And I thought Kunach would be cool because it's far north. And at the same time, I had heard that Dracula's castle is actually for sale. And I thought, setting it there in winter, we might be able to have like a kind of a darker tone in the series to kind of overthrow it, since all the other kingdoms were now under the I guess the influence of Verlox. You'd want to have something, somebody overthrowing an evil castle. So that would have to be good. And with all the history of that one, might be interesting to see that.
Kind of like Everealm's Arnor. Basically.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
I was actually I was actually thinking of Everealm's version of Winterfell. I think it is from
there you go.
Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
That too. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then Josh, did you figure out which kingdom you associate with yet?
First one that came to mind is actually Lewis. Am I saying that right?
Lewis, yep. I think that was
they're the
right?
Yeah, the horse lords of Everealm.
Yeah, that was Paladin and Ashley. Mm-hmm.
They're also good at archery and what was the mark? Dexterity.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first one that came to mind. I'm not sure why I gravitate towards it, but that'll be my answer for now.
Cause I kicked butt on that challenge, and you and I are hair twins.
Yeah, let's go with that.
That's my final answer. My final answer. Yeah.
Perfect. That's the best reason ever.
I had no idea that your hair was so awesome. Seriously, I'm like excited about this. I was like, my hair broke.
Well, we didn't have any idea his hair was going to be like this either. It changes a lot.
Neither did my mom, so it's okay.
One quick note, I actually just bought my craft pumpkin the other day so that I can make my Faisnay jack-o'-lantern.
That's amazing. Why didn't I think of that?
So
I'm doing that, and I blame you. Thank you for that one.
That's fine. If you need help doing the design for a stencil, let me know. I'll help you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I might hit you up on that one, because I ain't got nothing but time at this point. I'm not going anywhere.
Sounds good.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Jasmine, for joining us.
Thank you.
We're coming up on the hour, so I'm going to wrap it up and take this offline and want to just go down the list again. Thank you, Rachel, for joining us. Lauren, Josh, David, and Charity is
Thank you for having us.
camera shut off. But thank you, Charity, as well for joining us, and thank you especially, Jasmine, for
Thank
taking
you for
the time
having
to
me.
do this. So
This was a lot of fun.
yeah, it was definitely. But I'm going to shut it off and stop the broadcast, so it's going to go there. So
All right.
Nice to meet you.